Hello, Black community. How is everyone doing today? I hope everyone is doing well. And if not, just hang in there. Everything will be okay. Last week, we discussed the importance of turning the Black community into a unified family and the attributes needed to make a family, which was to provide and to protect. This week, we're going to talk about Black culture and the importance of the Black culture in the Black community. The title is, We Must Take Back Our Culture. The subject we're going to discuss today, in my opinion, is the most important issue of today, at least for the Black community, and it is Black culture. As I see it, it is the problem and the solution to most of the problems in the Black community. Our culture has been used to humiliate and to destroy us by turning us into a self-annihilating group of people that takes pride in disgracing and bringing shame upon themselves. Our music, the movies that they make for our communities, almost everything that's being promoted to us is nothing but violence and shame. You watch the BET Awards, nothing but violence and sex. The most popular female rappers, they make nothing but porn music and dress like strippers. What kind of influence is that for our children? The most popular male rappers, they don't talk about nothing but killing a nigga and selling dope to a nigga or pulling another nigga's woman. Why do we do this to ourselves? There is nothing good about what is being done to our culture. We're not hopeless. We are not helpless. We cannot sit back and let our culture be destroyed. We can't give up. We can't just sit around and wallow in our mess, too lazy, too complacent, finding every excuse in the book not to do something to help our community. The most we want to do is sit around and whine about what has happened to us and complain about the evil we do to ourselves. I recently watched a movie called Concrete Cowboy. It is the perfect example of who we are as the Black community. The mom is raising her out-of-control son by herself, and then when she can't handle him anymore, she drops him off at his dad's doorsteps, who is not even home to open the door for him. The father is down the street, sitting around with his friends, drinking and smoking and talking about the good old days, instead of being there for his family. The only difference now is, nowadays, we talk about what we would do if we had this, or what we would be if we didn't have to do this. Basically, nothing but talk. All we do is sit around and talk and never do anything. So eventually, the dad kicked the son out. And of course, the streets came and picked him up and took him in. And where the dad lives, there's a community horse stable that's in shambles. And they know they're about to lose the horse stables because they can't afford to take care of the horses. And instead of raising money or fixing up the stables themselves, all they decide to do is sit around and drink and talk about how times used to be. Talk about when there were horse stables in every Black community and every Black community was thriving and successful. All the while, sitting back talking, letting what they have slip through their fingers. We can't sit back and let our horse stables decay and rot and be taken from us. We got to take back our culture and rebuild it back to its former glory, back when our culture was rich with love for ourselves and we were proud to be who we are. Culture is important. It can determine the success or the failure of a society and a community. The people in power know this, and that's why they have made it their purpose to use our culture in a negative way to hurt and to destroy our community. That is why One Culture, One Community was started. We realized what was happening to our community and how our culture is being used to manipulate our minds and is used to create behaviors and habits that are destroying us as a people. We are trying to counter what is being done to our community by spreading the message of unity within our community so that we can take back our culture and make it the supportive, uplifting, empowering culture we need it to be. Culture covers a broad range of categories: family, food, music, religion, education, money, etc. All of that can be summed up in a nation or a group of people's traditions and lifestyles. The Black community has a rich heritage of food and music and brilliant intellectual trailblazers within our community and culture. Family is number one. It is the cornerstone, the building blocks of any culture, of any community, of any society. Without a strong family unit, you cannot establish any kind of foundation for life, which is why our families in the Black community are so vital. Because of the way Black men are going to prison and killing each other in the streets, and now the way Black men are being emasculated and feminized, our families have been on a downward spiral for over 50 years, which is why our community is in the shape it's in now. We gotta take back the culture of our family and raise our kids the right way, where the mom and the dad are present in the home, where the men work and earn a living, an honest living, taking care of his family. This is what we need to make cool, what we need to honor and respect. Women that are not always vulgar and that are not walking around dressed like prostitutes. Virtuous women who we can look to proudly because they have self-respect and dignity about themselves. These are the representatives we need in our community and in our families. The food we eat that is our tradition, it is a tradition that goes back to slavery, eating the worst leftovers that were given to us. But now we can change some of those bad eating habits and cut out most of the pork and fried foods and all the fast food and junk food that we consume. We can make more healthy choices and healthy dishes that will strengthen our bodies and lengthen our lives. So let's change some of our unhealthy traditional ways of eating and approach them in a new way, introducing our community to new food ideas and fine dining experiences that will grow and expand our culture. Our music is a disgrace. I've already talked about how detrimental our music is to our culture and to our generations. I hear some of the rappers from the early 90s talking about what happened to our youth and how did they become so violent, as if they weren't the ones rapping about selling crack, shooting and killing. Now they want to pretend they don't understand why the kids are killing each other the way they are. Our community was bought and sold for a little drug money and a little bit of rap fame. So stop pretending and take responsibility for the damage you've caused. Use some of the money you've gained from destroying our community to rebuild what you've destroyed. Come out of your gated communities and go back to the hood you helped bring down with your self-destructive music and help fix our culture. But what we as a people gotta stop doing is supporting all this filth that's being fed to us as music. Any kind of music that disrespects, degrades, or humiliates us as a community, we should not listen to it. We should ban it and boycott it. If we don't support it, there won't be an audience for it. And eventually they will stop making all that self-destructive music. Let's take back our culture so we can control what makes up our culture and make it something worth celebrating again. Our education system has to be better. We need to control what our kids learn and see about themselves inside the school system. Teaching our kids that our only history is slavery and all we've ever been were servants builds low self-esteem and shame about ourselves. We must teach pride in who we are as a people, whether in the public school system or in after-school programs. We gotta install in our kids dignity and self-love so they can grow and be assets in our communities instead of hating who they are and wanting to be something that they are not. We should start encouraging our kids to go to historically black colleges and universities instead of predominantly white institutes. We send our smartest and brightest to white colleges to become indoctrinated by white thought, which does not benefit us as a community. To have our brightest minds washed with inclusion and assimilation create black people that are willing to put others before themselves, and it also makes those black people willing to do what's right for white society instead of what's best for their own communities. We send our best athletes to white institutes where they get used and exploited for their gifts and talents by making those institutes billions of dollars a year. They try to make sure that our kids go to their colleges by making it hard for students that attend HBCUs to enter into the draft for professional sports, especially the NFL. No matter what they do to try to sabotage our schools and community, we must stand up and fight. We must stand strong on what we believe and believe in what we stand for. If we all as a collective commit to sending our kids to historically black colleges and universities, eventually they will have to come to us to recruit because they are going to come where the talent is. We just have to unite as one and stick together on the agenda we're pushing. When we compete against each other, we should have fun with it. Compete with good sportsmanship. If we lose or if we win, we should congratulate one another on a good game instead of arguing and fighting over winning and losing. If we are at historically black colleges, no matter who wins, we are still black, and that's what's important. So let's start a new trend, a new tradition of sending our kids to black colleges so we can take back our culture and build a community based around our own people, based around our own ideals and goals, and based around our own culture. The way we handle money, it's got to be talked about. Our spending habits are counterproductive to gaining wealth. We spend most of our money on things that are disposable instead of things that can make us money. Looking rich does not make you rich. As soon as we make $1, we spend $1. The attitude we have with money is all wrong. Growing up, I always heard, I may as well spend it while I'm alive because I can't take it with me when I'm dead. Now it sounded good, but it was the most foolish, anti-economical perspective on money any community can have. This way of thinking also explains part of the reason for the wealth gap between the black community and other communities. You cannot have an attitude of spend, spend, spend and think you can build wealth. Wealth is generational. It's money that can be passed down through the generations. But if you spend it all before you die, you won't have anything left for your kids. And in this world, having money to pass down to your kids is going to be vital for families to sustain itself through generations. Leaving each generation to start from scratch is hindering our people from getting out of this financial rut we are in and keeping us from really competing out here in this world. If we want our community to survive and thrive, we got to start thinking about legacy, generational wealth. We got to start thinking about our kids, and how we can make it easier for them to become successful in this world and not fall into the same trap of self-destructive behavior that has devastated our culture and our community. It's going to take us united as a community to overcome these years of conditioning, to overcome these years of mental warfare we've been in, and fight back to the death if we have to, in order to take back what's ours, to take back our family, to take back our traditions, to take back our way of life, to take back our culture. So let me know what you think, Black community. What you think about the Black culture? Do we need to take control of it? Is it just fine the way it is? Or do we even care? Or do we want to just assimilate our culture into the mainstream culture and just dissolve away into nothing? Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let's open up this discussion and see where it takes us. Thanks everybody for listening. Tune in next Sunday at 12 o'clock Central to One Culture, One Community as we go deeper into the Black perspective. Talk to you later.